Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are back. I've been a little bit sick, but I'm better, and we are back. I'm going to be talking about Arsenal's latest in the transfer market, but also acknowledging that statue that Arsene Wenger has just got outside the Emirates Stadium. It is not a beauty, but it is well deserved. I'll be talking about, I'll be sharing my thoughts about how it looks like, but most importantly, why he is the greatest Arsenal manager, and his legacy is going to be going to take a lot of time, a long time, without being washed away or even replaced by any other managers to come in the world of football. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Thomas Partey will be talking about, he will be staying at Arsenal according to FABRIZIO Romano. He says that Arsenal are out of the Romeo Lavia deal because Partey is now certainly staying. Arsenal are now convinced they won't be getting that 45 million euros they're asking for, and therefore they are not selling. We'll be talking about Kai Havertz, who say that at the moment Mikel Arteta is the only backing he has at Arsenal, and that's the reason as to why he's at the club, and he wants to work hard to repay the trust of the manager in him. So we're going to be diving into much of that. I want your thoughts, I want your opinions. What did you think, and what have you made of that Arsene Wenger statue that was put out at the Emirates Stadium? That is how it looks like, with the golden trophy of the 2003-2004 season, the Invincibles campaign. It really looks good. I won't be look, the trophy really looks good. Whichever way, whichever shape you see that trophy, there is only one golden trophy. There is only one, and it certainly looks very, very good. So let's start there. So Arsene Wenger this week has got his statue. Eventually, it took a lot of time. I don't know why it took a lot of time, but eventually we have it. We have that big man outside the Emirates Stadium. You know, he's one of the greatest Arsenal have ever seen. I think we need to have a debate about David Damskin, the creator of the club. He needs to have a statue there, because he was the founder of the whole thing in, you know, '86 way back. But I think Arsene Wenger and Herbert Chapman, the only two managers to have their statues outside the Emirates Stadium, their contribution to this club is magnificent. But Arsene Wenger's contribution to Arsenal, the Arsenal that the way we know it, the Arsenal that we are supporting, the Arsenal that we are backing, his contribution has been magnificent, like absolutely phenomenal. A manager who worked like 10 years without money to spend, at a time when Roman Abramovich had introduced a lot of money to Chelsea, therefore, changing their fortunes and changing the tides of the game of football in England, in London, and even in Europe as well. Of course, he was competing with Sir Alexander Chairman Ferguson, and Ferguson had the resources at his disposal to sign any player he wanted. So you look at the likes of Robin van Persie, you look at the likes of Berbatov, you look at the likes of Tevez, Cristiano, Patrice Evra. He literally could sign any other player, any player he wanted, right from his rivals, even to, expanding his influence across Europe. Arsene Wenger didn't have that, but what he did give us is that Emirates Stadium, and that has been very key, very significant to Arsenal, the way we know it. But of course, the Invincibles as well. That Invincibles campaign, no one has done it. Maybe Pep Guardiola will try to recreate the Invincibles campaign, try to go unbeaten. But Arsene Wenger to this day, in football, he's still a legend. He's the only manager in the Premier League that has gone 38 games unbeaten. And just for that, he deserves to be. He deserves to have a statue by the Premier League themselves. And as Arsenal and Arsenal fans, we are just grateful. I think Arsenal did make a very big mistake by letting him go. We should have kept him in a much better capacity, in a much stronger capacity, because we know the network he has as a manager. We know the network he has as a footballing guy. He has been in European football, I think, for the last 30, 40 years, maybe 30 years, all right, or 40, he's been in European football. So he should have been part of our, scouting network, because you remember the times Arsene Wenger spent at Arsenal, we brought in the likes of Alexander Sonbilong, Cesc Fabregas. So he was so good at scouting, and that is the reason actually Arsenal sustained that long period of time, going to the UEFA Champions League, competing at the biggest stage without investing a lot of money. But the big man has got his statue outside the Emirates Stadium. That is how it looks like. I won't get into detail of how I don't like the way it looks, but the fact that it's there, we can improve later on. Now, Fabrizio Romano has also confirmed that Thomas Partey is now a nailed-on case to stay at Arsenal. Arsenal are now convinced that they will have to sell players after Mikel Arteta coming out and confirming that there's so many players in the squad. There are 30 players in the squad. It is very unsustainable. But Thomas Partey is not going to be among those. So according to Romano, right on his Twitter, like you can see there, it says Arsenal are not active on Romeo Lavia now, as Thomas Partey has very good chances to stay. Saudi Arabian clubs have approached the Gunners days ago. Juventus called in June, but never close to that 45 million euros package requested by Arsenal. Huge bid for Thomas, or either he will be staying. Arsenal and Mikel Arteta are very, very happy to keep him as things stand. Still a further confirmation by him on the Here We Go podcast. He said, I'm told that Thomas Partey returned to preseason in a very good shape and a very, very good mentality. And with Mikel Arteta, he is very, very happy with this kind of approach. The feeling is that it will only change if a big proposal arrives. Otherwise, Arsenal are very, very happy to continue with Thomas. Arteta is very happy with the player and is now beginning with him this new season. So everything is under control with Arsenal and Thomas Partey. It was always a no-brainer. It's a big shame that we have had to talk about it. It's a big shame that we have had to have the conversations of whether Thomas Partey stays or goes. I mean, logically and financially, we are going to become a big club. We're going to become a huge club. And just like Manchester City have done in the last 2 years, players like Jesus, Zinchenko, Riyad Mahrez, Ilkay Gundogan, influential players will eventually leave. But I don't think Arsenal are there yet. I don't think we are at the level of losing Partey and Xhaka. I don't think these players have had so much to win with Arsenal. For Granit Xhaka, it's explainable. He's been there for 7 years. I mean, he's earned it. But with Thomas Partey, if he wants to stay and if he's in the right relationship and the right mind, with the club, I think it's a no-brainer that we keep our best midfielder. And I think Mikel Arteta will have realized from that Barcelona game, because, I think Rice is so physical, very, very physical, by the way. But he prefers the other technical part of his game rather than the physicality. Thomas Partey offers something very, very much needed, but something that we don't get from the rest of the squad. And now that Granit Xhaka is gone, Partey is the only physical player in that midfield. I mean, the rest of Kai Havertz, the likes of Odegaard, they will press, they will add some degree of physicality. But when we talk about real physicality, when we talk about players like Romeo Lavia, in midfield, we will have to counter them when we play Liverpool. We'll have to counter Rodri, we'll have to counter players like Casemiro, and that is where Thomas Partey actually comes in. So Partey will be staying unless a huge offer arrives. Now, my problem with this is one. What if that offer arrives on deadline day, right? So Fabrizio says he stays because there is no huge offer. So this is not because clearly it's not because Mikel Arteta is desperate to keep him. It is because there is no huge offer. I'm saying there are 30 more days to the end of the window. What if that offer arrives on deadline day? What do we do? Do we sell him? Do we go up against our words and keep him? And if we keep him, do we sign him on a new deal? Do we give him a new deal? Or do we actually let his contract run down into his final year? So there's so many things to deal with Thomas Partey. But I think step number one is to make sure that he stays, right? At least we have a consistent, array of reports claiming and confirming that Thomas Partey is in the right shape and in the right man shape that Mikel Arteta actually wants to keep at Arsenal this season, right? It's going to be a very important season. It's going to be demanding. That is one of the things that we know and we can confirm. It's going to be purely demanding. It's one of those seasons where Arsenal will definitely have to use every bit of psychology, every bit of physique, and every bit of health to get everything over the line. Whether getting into the top 4, getting into the top 3, or even winning any silverware. Because after spending 600 plus million in the last 5 years, Mikel Arteta now has to understand that the project has sailed on. The project has sailed on past this chronology of steps. So what we are looking at is an Arsenal side that is ready to win, right? So look, because we've gone a couple of steps ahead. We have gone from waiting for Lokonga to come around to replacing him with Declan Rice. We've gone from waiting for Fabio Vieira to arrive to replacing him with Kai Havertz. That really literally means that the club is not going to, again, give you another 2-3 years as a manager to come around and do whatever you want to do. It's actually the other way around. It's now about how fast can you deliver and how quick can you deliver major silverware. It wouldn't be bad if Arsenal won maybe the Carabao Cup and FA Cup for the start. Initially, that would be nice. It would be definitely okay. But it wouldn't be nice if we went away from that season trophyless and then, probably finishing second. It will show stagnation, fixation. It will show that we are not going, we're not progressing. And there is the fear with Mikel Arteta that if there is no progress, then there is fixation. So Partey, in that season, in that first season where Arsenal are expected to be challenging for silverware, and in some silverware we are actually favourites. I don't think Manchester City are favourites to win each and every silverware. So I think the FA Cup, Arsenal could have a say. We could say what's up. In the Champions League, probably quarterfinalists, we could be among the people saying what's up. And maybe the Premier League should be our focus. It should be our main focus. Okay, so Kai Havertz has been speaking to the media as well about his reason to choose Arsenal and the amount of pressure he's actually under. And he said at the moment Mikel Arteta is his biggest fan. So when he talked to Mikel Arteta, he right away sensed that belief. He right away sensed that that kind of support that the manager has for him, and that's the reason as to why he signed for us. And he says there is a lot to offer to the fans to turn his career around. He says he's already feeling home, but he's going to deliver. He's got to deliver. And he says at the moment, his game really depends on goals. That is the role that Mikel Arteta talked to him, arriving in the penalty area and scoring a lot of goals, and says this season, hopefully he can actually do that. Now, I look at Kai Havertz, and I've looked at Kai Havertz as one of... Actually, someone was saying in the comment section that I've been hanging Kai Havertz out to dry, and I've been throwing him under the bus. And I told them, my reply was simple. You didn't understand my video. I've never thrown Kai Havertz under the bus. I've actually defended Kai Havertz because I really understand a part of his game that many people don't see yet. Actually, I think many people see it yet, but they just don't believe he's the right player to do that. So he says at the moment, Mikel is his biggest fan at Arsenal, and he hopes he can actually repay. Personally, I don't think there should be any kind of pressure on Kai. It's a smooth Arsenal side that has been built over 4 years. There are so many parts of this Arsenal side that are really working very well. So I think Kai will come in and he will fit in. There's no question about his intelligence, ability, and efficiency. I think the only thing he needs to work on is when you get those chances, like I've seen him get 2 chances or 3, and he has buried 2 of those, right? So that is one thing he needs to work on, that when you get those chances, when you're through on goal, when you are one-on-one with goalkeepers, when you're arriving in the penalty area, can you finish, right? That is going to be a huge question. If you can finish much of the time, for example, if you can score like 9 goals out of in his first 19 games at Arsenal, the pressure will come down and he will be a much better player. I won't be surprised to see Kai Havertz as our top scorer next season. I won't be surprised either to see him among the top assisters in the Premier League, because that role that he plays in and he will play in is a role that he's played before. He's understood it very, very well. And look, Germany do have a lot of talent. If Germany can just support him by withdrawing him from that isolated number 9 role, they have that guy is called Füllkrug, or I think Füllkrug. If they can play Füllkrug, or at the top of their system, I think Kai Havertz is a very, very good player, very good. So Arsenal fans, you will see the best of Kai Havertz this season. I guarantee that. But of course, we'll be talking much about transfers. We'll be talking about Bitelo. We'll be talking about Kudus in the later videos to come. And of course, the Florin Balogun story, which is also still floating around.